Hi everybody, I want to share with you 3 things to think about before you decide to put your seeds in the ground and start a garden. Stay tuned. Hi everybody. Welcome to Step by Step Farming. I'm Yvonne, where we try to help empower those who are seeking to become self-sufficient and have more control over their life by sharing the simple step-by-step instructions and skills that we learned over the years. So today I want to share with you 3 things that you need to know before you start a garden. Number one is you need to know why. Why do you want to start a garden? Now, sometimes you might say, well, it doesn't matter, or what difference does it make? But it does make a difference, because this is what's going to keep you motivated to doing your garden. So, for example, do you just want to eat healthier? Do you want to decide what vegetables you get without, all the pesticides? Do you want to teach your kids how to do it and, start a legacy with them? Do you want to just save money? A lot of times we're going to the grocery store and everything's going up except for our paycheck. So what is your reason? What's your motivation? Because remember, before you start a garden, you want to make sure that you can devote the time to do it. It's going to take a little bit of extra time on your part to make sure that, you plant your seeds, you weed, you maintain it and everything else. And once you do that, you'll definitely will be able to reap a harvest. So number one is, what is your reason, your motivation? Why do you want to start a garden this year? Do you want to be more, self-sufficient? I don't know. Whatever it is, just think about those things. Okay. Number two is going to be, what is your planting zone? So for those of you who have never started a garden before, or maybe did it and just didn't kind of know what was going on, it was your first time or whatever, like how I used to be at one point, your planting zone is basically, it's a map of the United States that the USDA created, and they separated it into zones, and they called it planting zones, and it ranges from 1 to 13. So planting zone, the lower the planting zone number, the colder the temperatures are normally in that area. The warmer, or the higher the planting zone numbers is, the warmer it is. So for example, up in, I don't know, northern Michigan, I'm just creating an example, it might be zone 2, okay, because it's normally colder and it's up north, versus planting zone 10 or 11 might be down in Florida or Texas. Those are warmer numbers. So why is that important? Because it's going to tell you what plants are going to be best to plant in your area. So if you wanted to have an orange tree or an avocado tree or something like that, and you want to plant that outside in your backyard, that's going to be kind of difficult to do if you live in a planting zone 2 or 3, because it's much colder and it snows longer than, your growing season is not quite as long. So that's going to help you figure out what it is that you want to plant. Okay. So, there's also a map that I will show you, in this video, that's going to show you what the planting zone is. So all you have to do is just look for your state and where you live in that area, and that's going to tell you what your planting zone is. Another place that you could probably find that is on the back of your seed packets. That's very possible. A lot of times some seed packets have it and some don't. So it just kind of depends on the manufacturer of that particular seed packet, but you can definitely find it on Google. The third thing that you want to know before you put your seed in the ground, because the temperatures are getting nicer, it's getting warmer outside, and everybody's itching to get seeds and just start sowing it in the ground right away. But there's one other thing you do need to know before you do that. And that is, you want to know when your first and last frost date is. Now, what is a frost date, you might be asking? A frost date is basically, it tells you, it's an educated guess that they give every year, and they're pretty much almost on target actually with this. But it's not an exact date, but it's very close, and it's a date that tells you when frost could possibly occur around that date. Okay, so for example, you start at the beginning of the year, it's January, and you want to find out what is the last frost date. Last frost date is always going to be in the spring, and the first frost date will always be around the fall. So in the springtime, you want to find out what is going to be your last frost date in the area that you live. And you can find that. It's very simple. All you have to do is Google, type in what is the last frost date in my area. So for example, in my area, the last frost date is April 14th. Okay, that tells me that any time before April 14th, it's possible that it could freeze. And that's actually what just happened just last night. Excuse the noise and everything, I'm outside. That's exactly what happened. So it's been really nice. You know, it's been getting warmer in the 50s, 60s, a couple of 70s. And it makes you want to go outside and start, it makes you want to go outside and start planting seeds. But just last night, we dropped all the way down to the teens at nighttime. So we're still within that kind of freezing range. So you don't ever want to plant your seeds before the frost date is over. Okay, so let's recap. So what you want to do at the beginning of the spring is you want to find out what is your last frost date in your area. Okay, after that last frost date, which for example mine is April the 14th, it's pretty safe to start planting your seeds after that date. Okay, that just means it probably won't freeze after the 14th, after that frost date. In the fall, you want to find out what is the first frost date. That just basically means that you want to find out what date in your area that it could possibly begin to freeze. That's going to help you if you decide that you want to plant some seeds or what have you in the fall and you don't want it to freeze, so you want to plant it before that time. So I hope that that's not too confusing. I'm just, you know, trying to make this as simple as possible. But basically, it is safe to plant in between the last frost date and the first frost date, okay? So in between that time is good to go. You're good to go. So those are the three things that you really need to think about and know before you start putting your seeds in the ground. One, what is your why? Number two, find out what the planting zone is in your area. That's going to tell you what it is best that you can plant. And what is the first and last frost date, and that's going to tell you when it's a good time to start planting your seeds. So I hope that this was helpful. You guys, if you don't mind, I would love to know what planting zone you're in. You know, are you in a planting zone 4 or 10 or 13? Put in the comments below what planting zone you guys are in. I would love to hear about it, and I would love to even hear about what are some of the ideas of things that you're wanting to plant this year. I'm going to be putting out more videos, just trying to, you know, give you guys more guidance. What are some things to plant, how much you should plant, and things like that. So just keep a just keep an eye out. If you don't mind, hit the notification so that you can be notified as far as when I'll be putting more things out, especially as the weather gets a lot nicer. Also, if you think that this is helpful for someone, please share it with them. But I really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.